Hey y'all, so I decided to come on here and do this video. I don't know how long my phone is gonna let me record or any of that, but let me just get started. So if you are my friend on Facebook, as usual, you already know the news. I am no longer pregnant, you guys. I had my twins on September 7th. 2018, of course. um, Baby A weighed 4 pounds 9 ounces, and she was 16 inches long and born at 2:17 p.m. And baby B was 5 pounds even, 17 inches long, and born at 2:23 p.m. Yeah, so they're 6 minutes apart. They were born at 32 weeks. And I will get into the video as to why they was born so early. So technically my doctor wanted to induce me at around 37 weeks, 36 or 37 weeks, because 37 weeks is technically full term with twins. And with the type of twins that I'm having, I wouldn't say the earlier the better, but like with the placenta and stuff like that, it just can cause problems after 37 weeks. So technically, pregnancy wise speaking, my due date was October 28th and they arrived on September 7th, so they was kind of like 2 months early, but technically speaking, from the 37 week perspective, they were like a month early. So what ended up happening was I ended up staying in the hospital for a week because I was just feeling crappy one day. What day was this? They was born on the 7th, so I guess like the 1st of September. I was just feeling crappy. I know I didn't have my blood pressure medicine and all of this stuff. So I went to go get my blood pressure prescription done and filled, and I took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was like 139 over 140, which is extremely high, pregnant or not. And I already had an appointment that day. So this was like 2 hours before my appointment. I made a status on one of the Facebook groups, pregnancy groups that I was in, and I'm like, well, should I go to labor and delivery or should I just wait until I have my appointment? Everybody's like, no, call labor and delivery, go to labor and delivery. 9 times out of 10, after your appointment, they're gonna send you there anyway because your blood pressure is like that, and blah blah blah. Long story short, before I left the store, I ended up calling labor and delivery. They told me to come in, and so about an hour later, I went in. They checked me out and all that good stuff, and tried to figure out if they were going to keep me. Of course they did, because my blood pressure was high. So after they admitted me, well, I was already on the labor and delivery floor, but I was in triage. So they gave me a room and told me, well, let me back up. Because my blood pressure was so high, they put me on magnesium sulfate, which is like the most horriblest, and I know horriblest is not a word, but like the most horrible stuff to ever be put on. It makes some people really hot, but that wasn't the case for me. I wasn't really hot. I felt fine. It just made me really, really sleepy. So, like, during this labor story, I'm not going to remember everything because it made me so exhausted. I was out of it for like 2 days. Actually, more than that, because I was on the magnesium sulfate for like, I want to say 5 days, 4 or 5 days. That's how high my blood pressure was, and that's how, like, they was trying to get it to come down. So magnesium sulfate is basically the IV medication that is given to you that helps control your blood pressure, but it's mainly there so you won't have a seizure, because having a seizure while pregnant can be really detrimental to your health and your baby's health, to the point where your baby can die. So they put me on magnesium sulfate, and they told me after my second day of being in the hospital, they told me that they were going to induce my labor. So they gave me the steroid shots to mature the girl's lungs, the baby's lungs, and everything. I got one day, and then the next one within 24 hours, and then within 24 hours of that, they induced my labor. So, I don't remember what time, but they started me on oxytocin, which, induces your contractions and stuff like that. But when I tell you I didn't feel a single contraction, I asked this lady, because they turn up the medicine, I guess, every 30 minutes to an hour or whatever. And I'm like, I asked the nurse, I'm like, when are you going to turn this all the way up? Which was like probably the most crazy question, because like, who wants to feel their contractions? Oh, and the funny thing is, I think they checked me before they even started the oxytocin, and I was already 4 centimeters dilated, which is crazy. Like, who just walks around 4 centimeters dilated? Like, obviously I do, and I don't know. So I'm sorry this story is all over the place, but hey, it's my labor and delivery story. So they started the oxytocin. It got turned up to the max or whatever. I'm not really gonna get into that part. So, like I said, my labor was, it was a story. It was a trip. So, first of all, it was nothing like I envisioned it, I wanted it to go, or anything. Which I mainly think is because I had the preeclampsia and I had to be on a magnesium sulfate, which they don't like you to stand while you're on it because it can make you dizzy. But other than that, not even just that reason alone, I couldn't get up. I couldn't like really lay the way that I want to while I was in labor. I had to stay on my back, because if I moved like the slightest inch, one of my twins would come off the monitor, and they had to be monitored continuously. So that's the part that really sucks, because I couldn't lay the way that I want to. I couldn't stand up. I wanted to walk the halls, take a shower, use a birthing ball. All of that was out the question with my labor. I had to lay there on my back the whole time, because my twins wouldn't tolerate, well, baby A wouldn't tolerate me even turning like an inch. If I turned an inch, sorry if you heard that, that was my stomach. If I even turned an inch, she would come off the monitor. So I had to be on my back the whole time. Now, don't get me wrong, the staff and the nurse, they were very, very, very nice. Like, and they made sure to explain everything. I did end up getting an epidural, even though I couldn't feel my contractions. I felt like they were really trying to push that on me, because it was like, well, if you get the epidural, it'll help lower your blood pressure a little bit, which makes sense. I've heard that before. And knowing me, I don't do pain very well. So I planned on getting it anyway, but I wanted to progress my labor a little bit before I got it. Long story short, I think I did ended up getting it around 4 centimeters, because I was 4 centimeters for the longest according to them. So I was 4 centimeters before they checked me. And then when they checked me again, I was 4 centimeters, and my cervix was still thick. And then they checked me again, and I was 4 centimeters and 90% effaced the last time they checked me. And about an hour later, I was like pushing out my babies, and not on purpose. Like, I didn't even know that my babies was coming or any of that. I just knew that I was miserable, and I felt tons of pressure. Like, the head was moving down, and I was just like, I need to push. Like, I don't know how I went from 4 to 10 that fast. Don't ask me, I don't know. But I was like, I need to push. It was a nurse there, because I was just moaning in pain. Like, although I didn't feel my contractions, I felt the baby bearing down, and it felt like I was having contractions in my pelvic area. Like, I didn't know you was supposed to feel that. Apparently you are, except for people. Well, that shit is painful. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. But that is painful. So, that was the most painful thing throughout my labor. Contractions, I did not feel. The epidural, I did not feel. Even though when I got the epidural, I swear it only worked on my left side. I promise you. And I had to have this lady come give me more medicine, like twice, which I probably didn't need, which is probably why I didn't feel any of my contractions. But yes, like I said, the girls are here, and they're very, 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 very beautiful. I don't know if I'm going to actually put them on YouTube. I don't know how I feel about that. But if you're on my Facebook, you've seen them, and they are in the NICU. Their estimated discharge date is like around the end of October, mid-October. They like to tell you that, your baby is not going to come home until their due date, just for like safety reasons or just in case. And the sad part is, when you have twins, they don't send them home together. So one of my babies will be coming home before the other. Oh, and I'm meant to mention, I went in labor the day before my baby shower. So that was weird. I didn't even get the chance to have my baby shower, which sucks. Like, this pregnancy was crazy. It was awesome, but it was crazy. And this story was all over the place. I'm sorry, but I needed to get it out there because somebody asked me to do it, and the girls are 2 weeks old. They'll be 3 weeks on Friday, which is crazy. I am smaller than my pre-pregnancy weight, which is awesome. I was like after 2 weeks, well, a little bit before, maybe like a week and a half, I was like, oh, I got my body back. And I was actually smaller than I was before I got pregnant, so that's cool. But I will talk to you guys later. I might show the babies, I might not. I'm thinking about it.